So I've been doing a little more reading here about the ELF and how it operates. And in the configuration we have here, we've got the serial or the monitor in ROM. It's set up to run as a standalone computer at this point, as we observed in the last video. I've got TerraTerm hooked up with a serial port on it, 2400 baud is what I'm strapped to. I've learned in the reading here that what we're seeing on the displays when we power on is the power on self-test running. As the numbers move down here, it's running through the self-test, and it'll hit a point where it wants to do an auto baud detection, which is why it required me hitting a key on the keyboard before to actually get a connection onto the terminal. So I'll bring the power up, and we can see it stepping here, 98, 89, as it comes down through the various self-tests. And by hitting a key, it saw the 2400 baud and connected and got us into the monitor, and it's now come down through the self-test, everything tested out okay, and we're in the serial or in the monitor. It's like a pretty standard monitor. Looking at it, we have input and output commands. We can show various things. We can look at the RTC contents, space RTC, and I don't believe there should be anything in there. Yeah, right now the RTC internal memory has nothing in it. Do a show memory from the monitor, and the system should give us information on memory. There it is. So there's 32K available. Show version should give us version information on the monitor, which it does. We can show time and date. We can look at the status of the EF inputs if we wanted to. So it shows CPU, gives us CPU. Should indicate it's just a CDP1802. It's not the 1804 or 5 variants. What else can we do here? There's commands to set various things. Set non-volatile memory. There's test commands. We'll do a memory test. So there's actually a command here to test the PIXIE unit, which might be useful as we move on to getting the PIXIE unit here installed. We'll come to that when we get around to looking at the PIXIE video on it. We can load Intel hex files. We can do a clear screen, which might work here. I think this is no, really? Okay, well, apparently that command doesn't actually work the way I thought it did. We can do an examine. Oh, sorry for bumping the camera. We'll take 000 to 100. Oops. And dump the memory between those addresses. So it's a pretty standard serial monitor for a small computer like this. It appears you could write your own assembly programs. You could download them via Intel hex files to load into memory for execution. You know, it looks like a pretty robust little monitor. It's got commands in here to deal with disk records, those kind of things. If you've got an operating system on some kind of media, there appears to be IDE support, which appears that this card here is doing IDE emulation of some kind. Anyhow, that's been running long enough to do the dump. Let's get in here to the monitor. There's the monitor back. Show term. Oops. This shows basic information on the terminal. The examples here in the manual don't look exactly like what I'm getting on the screen. No surprise, I'm not actually, in this case we're using a pure serial mode. Apparently it's got built-in fourth in the ROM monitor along with basic and a built-in assembler. Anyhow, there's a quick little demo of the monitor and the ELF2K. Something I haven't spent a lot of time obviously playing with, but it's interesting to see it here. So I'm going to go ahead and mount up the little PIXIE daughter card. Just taking a quick peek here. The chips look to be in the right orientation. Everything looks reasonable, like it should work. I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. The power is off. I've got the three little jumpers here on the card that enable the various DMAs, etc. to control the card. The card looks to be on correct. I'll go ahead and bring the power up. It'll run through the self-test. At some point it'll do the autobod. The serial terminal here. And what I want to do is the test PIXIE command. Test pix command. Toggle input and the Cosmic Elf Enterprise. So I believe this is trying to output toggle input to end. Well, I don't have a way of toggling input. My belief is this is outputting the classic Enterprise picture. We'd have to hook up a monitor here and take a look if we have any video actually coming out. Test command first examines EF1. Well, let me get a monitor hooked up here and we'll see if we've actually got composite video. So I've got a composite monitor set up. We'll plug it in a minute here together. It should be powered up and warmed up. I'm going to go ahead and bring the system back up like we did a minute ago. So it's doing the self-test. We are connected. Let me hook up the composite cable here. And I will pull the camera out here to handheld mode and we'll watch what happens, if anything, on the monochrome monitor together. So I don't know if you can see it. There's a light green raster there on the screen. I've got the composite cable plugged in. And we're going to do a test PIXIE, P-I-X. And we'll see what, if anything, happens here when I run the test. Oh, sweet. Well, apparently the PIXIE emulation card works. So there's the Star Trek Enterprise ship being drawn on the Spare Time Gizmos Cosmic Elf. That's a really nice little test to have in the monitor. Goes on to show that a second part of the system actually works here, and that is this little emulator for the PIXIE chip. Very nice. So pieces are definitely coming together here. This has gone from wasn't working to 2/3 of what I built here seemed to be working fine. So it's pretty sweet seeing that image on the screen. And it's got a nice, sync is there. It just came right up as nice composite video. It is a green screen monitor, thus why it appears green. So very cool. I guess this is another short video. So in digging through my selection of chips, or my collection, I found this CDP1861, which is the PIX video chip that's used with the Cosmic Elf. Because of the pins I used here to interconnect the board here that emulates that chip, I can't just plug the chip directly down into that socket. So what I've done is put the chip, the PIXIE chip, into just a 24-pin wire wrap socket, and all I'm going to do is plug that wire wrap socket down into this interconnect. The notch is the right way. We'll power the system up here. Sorry about the handheld video. It's coming down through the memory test, and there we are. And then we'll run the test PIX program that we ran earlier. Well, it would help if I could spell it right, P-I-X. And we'll see if the chip works. So I've typed in the little test PIX. Here's enter, and there it is. So I've actually got a good 1861 Video chip. I know these have gotten rather hard to find. They were rare a decade ago. I was kind of surprised to actually find one in my junk box. Well, not my junk box, my IC collection. So pretty sweet. Now I'm debating whether to actually put a socket in and use that chip in the board versus using a little emulation daughter card. I don't know. It would be very nice to actually have the original chip in there. Anyhow, I just thought I would share that with you. And lo and behold, I have a good 1861. Very nice.